Welcome to Moxie Uncut. I'm your host, Jenny Nuccio, social entrepreneur, designer, innovator, and founder of Amani Collective. This season is all about reset. Real stories, the ones that don't make it into the captions. Failure, pivots, burnouts, heartbreaks, and the quiet courage to just begin again. Each week, I sit down with entrepreneurs, leaders, and changemakers that are building with purpose. We talk about the resets that shaped them, the lessons that they learned the hard way, and the strength that found them on the other side. If you're in a season of rebuilding or redesigning, you're not alone. You're right where you need to be. So let's dig in. Welcome to Moxie Uncut, the reset season. This season is all about the rebuild, the pivot, and the restructuring. It's about the internal shifts that change how you lead, how you build, and sometimes even who you are. Reset is not failure. It is refinement, it's recalibration, and it's rebuilding with wisdom. Here, we get to talk about real stories, the pressure, the lessons, the resilience, and the strength that comes on the other side. And today, I am so happy to have Francis here on Moxie.
Wow, it's a pleasure to be here.
And we are like sitting in Mombasa, and you came from Nairobi, and I just even feel more honored that you traveled to sit here and be with us today. Although you could have easily just popped down the road. Yes.
In Nairobi.
Yes. But okay, before we introduce and we get to dive a little deeper into who Francis is, we are going to do what I like to call the quick cut, which is some rapid fire questions. Okay?
Okay.
Quick answers.
Yes.
Are you ready?
How many questions?
Like 5 or 6. You can do it.
How fast?
Here we go. Coffee or tea?
Tea.
Morning person or night builder?
Night.
Big vision or detailed executor?
Big vision.
Okay. What's one word that people use to describe you?
My Jesus story.
That's good. What's one small habit that keeps you grounded?
One habit.
Yeah, just one habit keeps you grounded.
Praying every morning.
That's a good one. Okay. And I won't be offended, but a podcast or complete silence?
A podcast.
Ah, really? You know what's funny? As a podcast host, I would pick silence. I always think that's hilarious. Okay. We got a podcast listener. Awesome. All right. Well, how about you tell our listeners? I like to phrase it like, what are you best known for? But I feel that every individual that sits on the couch next to me is very multifaceted, wears lots of hats. So how about you introduce yourself in whatever capacity you want to?
Oh, God. Okay, so my name is Francis Amonde. I am known for many things. So as I had said, I'm known for my Jesus story because all my posts are written my Jesus story. So there is that Christian element that is standing out there. And then again, I'm also known as a Rotarian with Rotary Jabali. And then I'm also into business. And then again, also known for Cup of Uji, which is just a school feeding program that we run. And yeah, so that is just me. And I'm a brother, son, grandson, cousin. Yeah.
I love it.
Yes.
So you said, you described, Francis, you described Cup of Uji of, it's just this, it's just that, like a food feeding program.
Yes, it is just
it's just that. Could you just like throw like one stat of like, about that, and then we're going to dive into other things, but
okay, so
it's not just a food feeding program. It feeds a lot of kids.
Yeah, so currently we're doing 70,000 children every day.
Okay,
that are
17,000.
Yes. So
it's just a food program.
Right, it's a food program. We're adding, I think, 6,400 more this year. Actually, it is a work in progress. So yeah, so that is quite interesting as well. And then we're looking forward to, getting to 1 million meals daily by 2030. Yeah, so when you ask about big vision or execution.
I love it. Do you have people in your life who help with the detailed execution?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I have a whole team. Yeah, like they're amazing people.
Yeah, we can get lost in the clouds sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Founders always find they find themselves in spaces where you just, you're in your own bubble, so you need a team to keep you also grounded at times.
Yeah.
So I work with an amazing team, and they're incredible young people. that gets to ask the tough questions. So they're like, okay, so you want to do this? Where is the money coming from? Where is this? When? Yeah, so yeah.
That's so good. Okay, before we dive, we'll take a couple steps back. But before we do that, can you define what reset means for you?
What reset means for me is that you get to pause. For me, it's about pausing and then taking stock of what has happened before and reflecting back, then looking at other things you can do in a way that is better. So for me, that is what reset means. Just taking a pause, you relax, pause everything, and then reflect. Ask yourself the difficult questions. Am I in the right direction? Am I grounded enough? Do I have a support system? And then now moving forward with all that, when you figured it all out. Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Where this could be most recently, or it could be, you could even go 10 years, 20, well, how old are we? 10 years back. We're way older than 20, but I was joking with someone the other day. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not a youth anymore. For my American listeners, youth is considered, I think this is hilarious, by the way. A youth is considered up to 35 years old.
Yeah, I think it's this global standard for youth, but different people have different definitions of youth.
Yeah.
For others, it is up to 30. For others,
no,
it is 25.
If my dad is listening to this, he'd be like, no, you were done being youth at 17.
Oh God.
American mindset is so different. So when I was like, oh, I'm still youthful, which I'm not anymore, sadly. Okay. So again, whether it's current or it's been in the past, a moment where you feel like reset really changed the trajectory of where you were going in your life. Ooh, such a big question.
Wow. Okay. So for me, that moment was 2011.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that was a difficult thing to do, because just starting out of nowhere to feed kids and just trying to figure out your life, you're a student. So for me, that was one of it, starting Cup of Uji in 2011. But the biggest one was in 2013, when I finally left everything else and then went into doing Cup of Uji full time. And so...
And what made you make that decision?
So this is the interesting thing.
What was the inner dialogue? I like to get in our heads because...
So this is the interesting thing. So I've always been passionate about children. In 2013, I happened to be a teacher by accident. I'm not born a teacher. My late mom was a teacher. I'm not... Teaching is a calling on its own. So I became a teacher and was teaching at this school and teaching year 9, year 10, year 11, ICT, geography and history. But throughout that teaching period, I wasn't getting fulfilled. I wasn't finding fulfillment. I was like, this is just so, you're not feeling the satisfaction that I'm putting in something and there needs to be something coming out of it. So at the end of that year, I walked to the principal and said, if you close this year, I don't think I'm coming back next year. And he was shocked because I think when I went for the interview for the job, it was as a joke because it had been advertised. And then I said, let me try apply for this thing. And I applied, I was called for the interview, arrived in the morning, did the interview session. Then they said, you can wait at the reception area for some time and then you give you feedback. Then the principal came out an hour later saying, can you start now? And I was like, no, I've just traveled, so I can't start now, but you can show me around the school, then I can start tomorrow. I need to at least rest a little bit. So that was a hard decision because one, I was coming from an area of the known to the unknown. Because I wasn't going to be earning an income at Cup of Uji, but here I was earning an income and I was earning good money by those standards. So that was difficult because no one could understand in my family. People are you crazy? Are you mad? What has happened to you? People thought of taking me to a pastor to pray for me so that I find my grounding or I find my direction. But yeah, so that was a big moment for me. That was a very big moment for me. Yeah.
Yeah. And then when you stepped out of the space.
Yes.
And then immediately Like, because were you already feeding? Were you already doing Cup of Uji inside?
Already.
Okay.
Yeah, but on a small scale.
Yeah.
But now I was able to support it because I was already earning. I was in a job where I was earning, so I was able to. I didn't have issues with it. So that became difficult because now I started by now using my whatever I'd saved and all that. So it became quite tricky.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you plan well, or were you like, oh no?
I think I at that moment, I don't think I planned. I felt like I just need to pursue my passion.
Because I'm like that. No, I just asked because I have people in the share who planned. Like there was someone before you who had.
I think that was the most unplanned thing. I remember that afternoon I go to the house and my uncle was like, I think you can rethink this decision, please do not see. Can you hold on to the resignation letter a little bit longer? And I was like, no, I am done. Yeah. I am done.
But I think it's good, like being brave enough to step into it, even though others might see it as crazy, because you could have been stuck in that space, right? And I think it's really important that every day we wake up and we're passionate about what we do. It doesn't mean that it's not hard, because we know what we're going through, and having the passion is still very difficult. But we keep pressing forward. So let's talk about just in the last couple years, as this was well over a decade. So now you're here. What is something that you can look back on and say, man, I'm so proud of myself. Like I'm so proud. And then as you're sitting here today, what's something that you're also really excited that you're building in the future?
So this is the interesting part. So Cup of Uji started in 2011. We were doing porridge. These days we get to do lunch meals as well in some of the schools. But the most interesting thing was like the other programs that cropped up beyond the feeding. Mm-hmm. So you had a school where students had performed well and they didn't have a means to go to school. Then you plug in with a scholarship program for them. So that kind of stood out for me in the sense that because most of our scholarship program is mostly dependent on individuals who get to sponsor individual students. And so at that moment, just looking at those students, and right now we have one of them whom we started with, and just her graduating, she studied chemical engineering at Technical University. And so when she graduated, and also bearing in mind where she came from, looking at all that, I sat down and said, okay, it is not all in vain. So everything that we do is not all in vain. But even meeting, there's a young boy at the school where we started, and said that porridge contributed to where he was in life, because that was kind of the only meal that he could have access to in a day. So just looking at them and where they are in life, and then looking at that kind of impact in their lives, it might be one person, it might be many people. But for me, that is something that is so deep, something that I take so personally, so that I sit down and say, everything we do here is not in vain. There are people who, this is all they have. Whatever we are doing is all they can depend on or they can rely on. It's just us doing our little bit of good, but it goes a long way in someone else's life. So that is something that means so much. And I remember at one point there was a school, it's called Kasimba Primary, and there was this girl. So one time I was at home in the village, it's in Homa Bay County, and so a friend's wife came and said, there's this student that has longed to meet you. They said, oh, what's the story? And they said, the student just wanted to say thank you, because for her, whatever you're giving in their school is the only meal her and her brother gets to have in school. And so for me, I was like, wow. So, because sometimes we're lost in all this that we try to do, that we do not even take stock. We don't know whether are we even making a difference. Sometimes I'm like, okay, so we are spending this much, but is it even helping someone? So yeah, so for me, those are some of the things that really mean so much. And also the time when we grew from feeding 100 children in 2011 to a whole school of over 500 children in 2014. It took a journey for us to get there. And I think it was one of those very memorable days. I don't think I've ever been as happy as I was on that day. Looking at those, the pictures that were taken then, I was just like, it was just one of those moments I was just soaking in and being like, wow, so we're able to take care of the whole school, because that was now preschool, it was 100 children, and now you are able to take care of the whole school. And I was like, wow, this is something. Yeah.
It's crazy to me that you say a statement like, I go my day in and day out basically, and I don't know if it's making a difference. Because I think that's very valid for anyone that is in the impact space. It's like we care so much and we push forward so much, and yet we do question ourselves, like, are we making a difference? Even though from the outside in, it's like, duh, like, look what you're doing. Of course you're making a difference. But I think because it takes so much energy and so much that a lot of times we find ourselves in the conversations or behind the keyboard and not actually in the impact as much as we once were.
Yes.
That sometimes we can feel a little distance from what we're actually doing. I always find that that's why I love going to Turkana, and I was so glad we got to take that trip together, and we can talk a little bit about that.
Yes.
But I think when you're there and you're in it, you finally are reminded a little bit more when you can like actually be in the food drops or be doing these things and being like, okay, I'm reminded of my why, and I'm reminded why I'm going or I'm doing this and waking up every day, because not every day is it easy to get up.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
Tough days.
yes, before we get into even talking about, we can talk about Turkana, we can talk about whatever, but because these podcasts, as you know me, I just love to conversate. So they're not like, let me ask you very formal questions. Oops. But I wanted to see if there's anything you want to share with us of something that you're really excited about, your big vision. So sometimes big visions you can't share yet, but if there's anything that you're visioning or rebuilding right now that you're, just thrilled about.
Yeah, so it's interesting because right now what you're looking forward to is how do you get to providing 1 million meals by 2030. So everyone in the team, everyone is scratching their heads and trying to figure out how to realize that. So that is one thing that keeps us awake. And I think when we cross that mile, we'll be quite happy. And not just doing 1 million meals, but doing it in a way that is sustainable, looking at partnerships either with private sector, individuals, county governments, national governments, so all players together so that, kids can have at least 1 million schools. So that would be a great moment for us. And also continuing to work with smallholder farmers, especially for the things that we need in the school feeding space, because that is something that has been a little bit tricky for most school feeding organizations, because maybe either the quality does not meet the standards or something. So just finding a way of just bringing them together and working with them in a way that they also get to see that vision and buy into that vision as well. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's exciting. I think one, in the short amount of time that we've known each other, I feel like we've known each other for a long time, but it's actually been not even a year. Has it been a year?
Yeah.
Maybe we'll celebrate our year friendsiversary. But when you look at that and you're setting those goals, right, for 2030 and you're shooting for the 1 million meals, one thing that I think you do really well at is collaboration, partnerships, and community. I find that, and as we know, when you get to the top, it can feel lonely. And so we were talking kind of off mic of having collaboration and whatnot. I mean, I think we got to experience that with Acumen,
Yes.
of being able to have people side by side that were like, okay, we're leaders and we can open up in that aspect. On the other side, I think to help an organization grow, we can't do it alone, and we shouldn't reinvent the wheel either. So you do a wonderful job at that. So I'd love for you to talk about what collaboration means to you and how it's collaboration, community, partnership in that aspect has really changed kind of the blueprint of how you run Cup of Uji and also within your personal life.
Yeah, so one, collaboration has been something that actually I would start from first the individual level, where we have, people who over the years have always supported Cup of Uji at the individual level, and majority of them being Kenyan. So that is something that I am extremely grateful for. Every time people ask me, oh, how are you able to, fundraise within the country and people be able to support? And I'm like,
That's really amazing.
Kenyans support as long as there is accountability, and so and so that is something that I am so grateful for, and people get shocked by it. And then also those collaborations have also been instrumental in ensuring that we get to reach many more children. So be it when you're doing Imani Collective, you're now in Turkana, so which is a beautiful thing. And just seeing the kids happy, and it might look like something very small, but it goes really a long way. Because, for example, in Kenya, we have like 10 million primary school children in public schools. And so even reaching them might not be easy, but if we all do our little bit, then it adds up to something. And then you're able to scale up and also be able to support all of them. So collaboration has been key in everything that we do. And those partnerships, I saw those partnerships, especially during the COVID period. I remember one of our partners, and they're in the health insurance sector, they're called Cigna. So they came on board, and so we needed to do lunch for the schools that we were supporting, but then we were supporting 5,295 children. And so then COVID happened. So COVID happened just when their support was coming out. And then they said, so they called me back and said, okay, so Francis, we've seen COVID has happened, schools are closed, we don't know when they will be reopened, but we've seen your organization is doing something called Be Nice KE, which is the short for Be Nice Kenya. So it was a campaign you were running, just reaching out to people, supporting people with dry food stuff, paying rent for people. Some places we did construction of houses that were collapsing. It's crazy. So during that COVID period, I think that is the period that was tested the most.
Yeah.
Because there were now also people who were reaching out and saying, be careful, because we're doing door-to-door delivery of food supplies. So we were like, oh, you need to be very careful around this so that you don't also get COVID and all that. So that was for me. And then them saying, okay, so can we just do the Be Nice, reach out to the families, and that whenever schools will reopen or whatever will remain, then use it to feed the learners. So such partnerships where you have partners who are also flexible in that sense and also walk the journey with you are things that I don't take for granted. So those go a long way in terms of the work that we do. And we're able to reach so many families, because in every county where we were at least trying to reach out to at least 100 families with some good quantity of supplies. So those are some of the things that really stand out for us. And even the partnerships that we're looking forward to, the partnerships with other organizations like the Rockefeller Foundation, Novo Nordisk Foundation. So those are things that really go a long way in ensuring that the work that we do gets to be amplified and also gets to grow and be able to make more impact. Yeah.
That's awesome. I want to talk a little bit about you, Francis, as the leader. Curveball. No, because I
didn't see that coming, because the last time that people are talking about themselves, we were given some letters to read and we ended up crying.
Francis and I have been through a lot, everybody. We were part of a fellowship with Acumen, and yes, it got really emotional. I'm not gonna make you cry.
That was heavy.
It was. I was bawling. I will not make you cry. But what I do want to emphasize to our listeners is that, people come on this podcast and they're doing amazing things. You're doing amazing things, and there's a lot of responsibility in that. And then I think about us as the individual and the leader that takes on that heat, takes on that stress, thinks about the livelihoods, thinks about the growth, not just growth of, oh, because I want the accolades. It's not that at all. It's growth because you truly want to help your community. When you look back on your journey, and as you've grown as a leader, what are some moments that you can reflect on and you don't have to go deep into it, but a moment that really refined the way you lead, made you a better leader? Like, I always talk about closed doors. I think closed doors happen all the time, and yet closed doors is a reset moment. It leads us to other places. It also helps us learn about ourselves. So are there any moments in your life where you're like, where was a pivotal moment of a reset, even in how you lead, how you change, how how you show up for people, and what value, maybe even what value has stayed the same as well throughout that journey.
Yeah, so for me, it has always been the one thing that has changed is one, also just having interactions with the team that we work with, be it the core team within Cup of Uji, be it the volunteers that give their time and resources to just support Cup of Uji. And so one moment, maybe one moment that I can say shaped, because that was crazy. I don't know, call it crazy, but it was kind of grounding in a way. And that is the moment I said no to funding. Yes,
Said no to funding.
Yeah, said no to funding. So
you don't hear that a lot.
Yeah, so that was, it was a very tricky moment. You know, I sat down with my team and I told them, I know you guys are going to say all the nice things. At the end of the day, that decision ends, it's going to lie with me. So whether it's going to be a bad or good decision, then the repercussions of it are going to be on me as the leader of the organization. And so I remember we needed to do a project, and then there was this organization we were to partner with, and they had sent money, and it was in euros. So it was something quite interesting. So along the way, when we had our first meeting, I told my team, no, something feels off. We had our briefing session. I was like, no, I don't feel like we are aligned with these people. Something really feels off. Then someone traveled from one of the countries where the head office is and came, and we met and we discussed things and agreed on a way forward. And then immediately after that, because we were to give them a briefing on what we had, the assessments we had done, so we proceeded to make assessments. And then now, as my team proceeded to make assessments, they were stopped. They were told, no, you can't do that. You have to ask us before you do the assessment. There were just a lot of things, and then a lot of things that were not adding up for us. Mm-hmm. Then we sat down in the office and I said, okay, let's discuss this. And we discussed it, and I said, I have never done this, but for the first time, we are going to have to say no to this money. And so I wrote an email, gave them to go through it. Everyone in the team had to read it before I sent it. Then I said, I'm copying them, and I'm copying the head office and all that. And I sent and said, thank you so much. I didn't go into the details. I didn't want that would appear so petty. Yeah. So I was like, no, we don't find ourselves in alignment. So we are sorry about this, but we pray that you find another partner who is more aligned to your values and everything. And I remember our bank branch manager called and asked, Francis, are you sure about this? I was like, yeah, send that money back to the account it came from. Yeah, so that was...
That's even more crazier, Francis, that it was in your account.
Yes.
And you're like, send it back.
Yeah, send it back the way it is. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. But I think that goes to tell, I mean, to anybody listening, like value alignment is so important. Yes. Because you get later down the road, like to go with your intuition. There have been moments when I was younger where it was like, man, I felt that. Why did I make that decision against it? So our intuition is so strong, or also the Holy Spirit is so strong. It's so convicting, and we need to listen to how that's leading.
Yeah, if it doesn't feel right, just don't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was one of those moments. Yeah.
Do you think that was really good for your team to see you in that, and in that leadership and making a decision like that?
I think wherever they are grounded based on that decision, because in most instances, people never say no to money. People just be like, we don't mind about whether their values align or does not align. But for me, I was like, no, the values need to align. Yeah.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Okay. So would you go back? I have a couple more questions. Would you go back and do anything differently in your journey?
In my journey. Yeah, I think that there's instances where there are things we would have done differently. There are instances where, you've approached county government, you've signed an MOU, then they had to release funds for the partnership. So I think in such instances, I would be like, I think they release the funding is when you now sign the MOU, because just so that you do not find yourself in an awkward situation, because now we find ourselves in very awkward situations where people now call and are asking, oh, when is the porridge program starting for these kids? And you're like, the county is still, not responsive. So yeah, so those are some of the things that we would do differently. And then again, the other thing would be, another thing we would have done differently is work more with smallholder farmers in the different counties where we work in, just to supply the different things that we have, and also just to walk with them that journey. The other thing that I would have wished for, but is kind of sometimes very tricky, is that even despite walking with them through the journey, is that now they get to even sell surplus of what they have produced, which is still difficult. We've really tried thinking through it. And then again, the other thing we would do differently is sometimes I think towards the end of last year, I told the team that, I'm going to be nice. I'm not going to be good. I'm going to be nice. Because people tend to sometimes abuse people's goodness. So yeah, because I have been beaten in some areas. So those are things that I take very personally. Yeah, so...
But that's healthy. That's healthy. That's creating boundaries as a leader, and you learn and you grow, and however you want to phrase it. I think I
and
talk
saying
about,
no to things, and
yeah. And I tell my team, like, I'll be kind, and yet there's a line here, like in how we communicate and how we there's been some boundaries created in the last year as a leader as well. And I think even in the things that we think, oh, I could have done differently, if we look at where we are now, it's also shaped a lot of how you run things, what you...
it has really shaped things.
So journeys are always interesting, because it's like, I would do it differently. And I learned maybe a hard way of doing X, Y, and Z. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Wow.
Okay. Are you ready to leave one piece of wisdom to our audience? If people right now, there are people listening that are maybe in a mountaintop moment, but they don't feel aligned or like living their life on purpose. So they want to shift, they want to reset. There may be people listening that are just feel really stuck and stagnant and are like, can I be brave enough to just quit my teaching job and move into what my life is on purpose? What's some advice you would give to our listeners today?
Wow. So what I would share with the listeners is that, just pursue your passion. The results might not be immediate. The satisfaction might also not be immediate. It might take time, but at the same time, there is also the element of luck. So you can also get lucky, but I'm not promising that someone will get lucky. Everyone will get lucky. So yeah, you might get lucky that yours takes shorter time. Run your race. Do not run other people's races. Do not view other people and say, those people are like this. I need to get there. Run your race. Run your race. The moment you embrace that and realize that you should not be in a competition with anyone, I think life will be more smooth and better. And finally, just each one can reach one. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Francis, for being here.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jenny, for hosting me. I'm grateful. Thank you.
I'm grateful for you too.
Thank you.
This is Moxie Uncut, the reset season, refining, realigning, and rebuilding. And as always, friends, Moxie on.
Thanks for being here with me on Moxie Uncut. If something stayed with you, please pass it on. These stories are meant to be shared. And if you're in a season of rebuilding or becoming, then just keep going. I'll see you here next week.